Good morning, everybody. Today we'll have some fun reading from my novel Bug Guy. It's about a guy who turns into a giant bug, like in that Kafka novel, but in this one he becomes an influencer. Chapter 2. Hey now, you're a bug star. Back at my cubicle, I found that my desk was gone. A note stuck on the outside panel read, "Your belongings were moved to the basement where a new workspace has been set up for you." I hissed in frustration, but there was nothing I could do, so I crawled toward the basement. When I went past the water cooler, I noticed a man with a short, slick-back hair who looked oddly familiar. I crawled slowly to get a closer look. Then suddenly I realized he was Brian, my roommate from college. Immediately, I started to pick up my pace. Brian was the last person I wanted to see in my current condition, but it was too late.
"Where you going, Greg?"
he asked, stepping in front of me, blocking my progress. Surprised, I stopped in my tracks.
"How did you know who I am?" "Your tie. No one else wears a purple and gold pinstripe tie. Also, the way you stop and stare at people is distinctive. We live together after all. I'm sure you still know some of my habits too." "You must have some type of superpower. Everybody else just sees an insect and can't seem to see that I'm still the same old Greg inside." "That's people for you. So, how did that happen?" "I have no idea. Maybe I read too much Kafka before going to bed,"
I said, laughing for the first time since the transformation. He laughed too.
"Well, it's nice to see you. We haven't really kept in touch." "Sorry about that. Since I started working here, there hasn't been the time for much of anything else." "Yeah, overwork's been a problem for me too. I'm here in official capacity, so I'm on a short leash. But the hell with it. Why don't we grab some coffee?"
"You're on." We went to the cafe across the street, a favorite spot of mine. At the counter, a woman talking orders said,
"Hi, Greg. What'll it be? The usual?"
I was astonished that she recognized me. Was it my tie?
"Absolutely."
"That'll be $4.50.
she said, which was the price of a medium pour-over with oat milk. Then, with a mischievous grin, she said,
By the way, you look different. New suit?"
Now I could tell she was teasing me, but trying to make me feel accepted at the same time. I'd always had a crush. Now I realized it was probably no longer even a distant possibility. Either that or she thought I was wearing a very convincing costume. I was about to pay when I realized I didn't have any hands. Fortunately, Brian stepped in and paid. When my crush finished punching up the receipt, she said,
"I heard about you're being turned into a bug. It's all your coworkers could talk about this morning. Don't let them get you down. I think it's kind of cool."
Brian and I had half the coffee shop to ourselves. The other half was full to bursting. The first thing I did was to figure out how to drink from a cup without any hands. After a few unsuccessful attempts to lift the cup with my legs, I discovered I could dip my ridiculously long tongue into it and slurp it up that way.
"I can't believe it's been so long. Years and years,"
Brian said.
Didn't we connect on Facebook last Christmas?"
"Yeah, but that doesn't count. There's a lot you lose in a conversation when you don't see a person's face. And in 3D, I invited you to Vegas once, but your mom was sick or something."
"Sorry about that. I've been busy making a living and positioning myself for that promotion that never seems to come."
"Why are you still working there then? With your new situation, there are so many better options for you."
"Really? Who would want to hire a giant bug, especially in this economy?"
"No, you're looking through the wrong end of the telescope. I mean, okay. You woke up and found yourself turned into a giant bug. To you, it might be business as usual, but to everyone else, it's extraordinary. When people hear about it, they will want to hear every tiny detail of your story, and every large one too, about every aspect of your life. How do you go to the bathroom? How do you eat? What do you eat? Can you drive? Every major publisher will be clamoring for the rights to your memoir. Movie studios will fight each other for the rights to your biopic. I can see it now. A major Hollywood motion picture starring Matt Damon.
Matt Damon? I wish. I bet they cast that whiny loser from 2.5 Men.
You mean John Cryer?
No, Charlie Sheen.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. I see great potential here, and if you sign me up as your agent, I guarantee you'll get Keanu Reeves at the very least.
Thanks for your support, but pitching a movie is incredibly hard. I should know. I tried once.
Stop being such a pessimist. Your story is unique and strange. I can't imagine anyone turning it down. And don't forget, I'm the greatest pitchman this side of the Sierra Nevada. I can sell assault rifles to Gandhi.
I tried to laugh for a second time today, but only a bunch of buzzing sounds came out. Then I said,
I'll take it on faith that you're the best salesman ever. But can you leave Gandhi out of this? What you're saying is borderline blasphemous.
Why? I made jokes about religious leaders all through college, and you never told me it was sacrilegious. Are you Indian or something?
I'm a lot of things, but Indian is not one of them.
Brian said, his expression suddenly contemplative.
Come to think of it, you never told me what race you were. Right now, you're a giant bug. But when you were a mere human, I had a hard time figuring it out. To me, you could have been anything from Mexican to Middle Eastern, or even black.
Well, I'm not sure either. I'll have to ask Mom again. By now, my dad doesn't know what year this is, much less his ethnic background.
Brian furrowed his eyebrows and said,
What do you mean?
Oh, he has dementia.
Brian was taken aback.
Yeah, that's why I live with my mom now. I have to pay for his care, and that means I don't have enough money for my own apartment.
Sorry to hear that.
Brian said, then leaned in very close and whispered,
If you need any help, just give me a call. I can throw a few bucks your way every month to tide you over. I appreciate the offer, but no thanks.
Brian smiled and said,
You don't need to feel embarrassed about needing help. After all, that's what friends are for. College roommates, too.
I don't feel embarrassed at all. I just want you to take care of yourself before you're worried about me.
The truth, though, was that I was lying. I was embarrassed. My memories of Brian from college days were of him being a jack-off, more about partying and having a good time than academics. Unlike me, I studied my ass off. So to see him being more successful than me was deeply annoying. But I feared offending him and kept all this stuff to myself.
Anyway,
He said, standing up.
I'm just saying I will be here for you. Don't be a stranger. If you need anything, just give me a call. I have to go now. My boss keeps a close watch on who's gone and for how long.
He left. When he was outside, he turned and waved goodbye. I wiggled my antennae. Back at work, I headed for the basement, but an intern rushed up to me and said,
Excuse me, but I'm here to ask you to come to a company-wide meeting in conference room 2. Attendance is mandatory.
Okay.
I said, then took the stairs down because the elevators always make me claustrophobic. The mandatory meeting didn't sound good, or maybe I was getting paranoid. The conference room was packed. There wasn't a single seat untaken, so I had to lie on the ground on my 6 legs. Stephanie, our head of HR, was up at the front, planted behind a table lectern. She was the only one smiling. After everyone settled in, she got right to it.
Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I called this emergency meeting because, as we all know by now, our beloved colleague, Gregory Samsa, has become a giant bug.
Bill from accounting, who was sitting in the front, whispered to the women sitting next to him.
Thank God. I thought this was going to be about sexual harassment. Not that I have anything to hide.
Don't worry,
Stephanie said. She must have had supersonic hearing.
the sexual harassment meeting will be next Tuesday. Anyway, Greg has been an extremely productive and loyal employee, and we want to the best of our abilities, accommodate his new needs based on the mandates of the Americans with Disabilities Act. For example, our office building will be slightly modified to suit the needs of Greg, such as replacing doorknobs with handles and placing special adapters to various toilets in the building. I also encourage you to help Greg with certain tasks that require hands.
A ripple of head shaking made its way across the room.
Now, I've heard rumors that some of you find Greg disgusting and repulsive. Let me just say that I understand that reaction. But intolerance is a big no-no in our company. It's very important that you respect Greg's humanity. I mean, his bugginess, his bugmanity. What I'm trying to say is that sensitivity and respect are the utmost importance here. I know some of you are squeamish about bugs of any kind, much less giant bugs, but I view this as an opportunity. Studies have shown that workplaces that are diverse perform better than ones that are not. And what is more diverse than having a giant bugman as part of our team?
Stephanie laughed, but no one laughed with her.
Anyway, I know that respect and sensitivity might not come naturally to all of you, so to help some of you get those crucial skills, I've arranged that the entire company to undergo anti-discrimination training.
There were a few scattered groans.
Now, don't be like that. Try to look at it from Greg's perspective. What must he be feeling right now? Greg, maybe this is a time for you to come up and tell us.
I crawled up to the head of the table and stared at all those bored faces.
Hi, it's me, Greg. I never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am. What I want to say is that even though I look very different from who I was before, I'm still Greg. I still enjoy football. I still like the smell of freshly washed laundry. I still hate the Star Wars prequels. So far, all the changes are outward in my exoskeleton. My personality and thoughts remain the same. I hope that you will judge me by what's on the inside and how I do my job.
Every woman in the front row smiled in unison, which gave me a sense of relief. I crawled down from the lectern to loud applause, and Stephanie continued.
That's the spirit. You put it in better words than I could have. Let's not forget, never allow prejudice to tear us apart. Accepting the entire spectrum of humanity as well as human-sized bugs is such a precious thing.
Stephanie opened a guitar case and took out an acoustic guitar.
This is a song,
She said.
that I learned a long time ago. I hope it gets everyone into the spirit of unity.
Then she sang.
The more we get together, 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 the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be.
When she encouraged us to sing along, they all did, but it was noticeably lackluster.
Come on, I really want to hear all your beautiful voices. Let it out.
Even I thought this was over the top and forced, but Stephanie does head HR, so they sang along with as much enthusiasm as they could muster. When the song was over, Stephanie officially adjourned the meeting and we all started filing out. People were no longer keeping their distance from me, which initially brightened my spirits. But then I overheard two guys I never liked mumbling.
Why do we have to take anti-discrimination training? It's not like we turned into giant bugs.
Yeah, just because Greg turned into a giant bug, he gets special treatment. Maybe I'll turn into a giant bug and get my own office, but not in the basement.
I was tempted to bite both of them in the face, but I wanted to maintain a collegial atmosphere, so I had to let it go. After going back to my desk in the basement and working for a few more hours, I was completely exhausted. Even though I'd work my regular 9 hours, it felt more like a week. I was ready to go home and sleep for a few days, but on my way out of the office, there was Constantine talking to a mutual friend, so I interjected.
Hey, do you two want to get a drink?
They exchanged an uneasy glance. Then Constantine said,
Sorry, I'm on the wagon.
Okay, how about bowling at the alley down the block?
No response. Crickets. Then the third guy, a new hire, stuck his angry face just inches from mine and said loudly,
Can't you see they don't want to be with you? Why can't you leave those two poor guys alone?
I was stunned by his tirade and watched silently as Constantine and my other friends slowly slink away. Constantine glanced back at me once, looking guilty, before the elevator swallowed them up. This was the first time it hit home. Someone I thought was a friend was treating me like a pariah. 5 years we worked together, sometimes for hours on end, and what did it add up to? I guess you don't truly know who your real friends are until you turn into a giant bug. At the apartment, there were no signs of my mother, not even a note. On one level, it was okay. I mean, there was still plenty of garbage in the trash bin. But the place felt haunted by her absence. I missed the sound of her bustling around, cooking, doing laundry, or yammering on the phone. Great, I thought to myself. I have a face not even a mother could love. I needed a drink, or a few, to take the edge off this crazy day. Fortunately, the refrigerator was stocked with beer. There were 4 types of beer, but I chose Guinness because it had the taste closest to garbage. The tips of my legs functioned perfectly as a bottle opener, although it was difficult to get a grip on the bottle, but I managed, and sat down on the couch drinking my sorrows away. Under the influence of alcohol, I did something incredibly stupid. I went on Facebook. After logging on, the first thing I did was to snap a photo of my face and change my profile picture. Then I wrote a message on the timeline. What a day. I woke up and turned into a giant bug. Now no one at work wants to talk to me anymore. My boss wants to stuff me in the basement, and even my mom doesn't want to have anything to do with me. After posting the message, I opened my 3rd beer and chugged. Before I set down the bottle, responses began rolling in. They all started out very positive.
Sorry about what happened. I was meaning to give you consolation today, but I didn't know how to approach you. Oh, that sucks.
Don't worry, we're all here to support you, Greg.
But gradually, other less flattering replies came too.
What the hell is this? Today isn't April Fool's. Stop it. This joke isn't funny. Is this a joke?
I felt compelled to respond, so I went through every skeptical message and replied,
Yes, I did in fact turn into a giant bug. This is not a joke.
But increasingly judgmental and cruel messages kept popping up, and I was hard-pressed to answer them all and reiterate that this was indeed not a joke. Some of my coworkers pitched in. One said,
Yes, I saw him today. He did turn into a bug. Greg is not a liar.
The situation kept snowballing, and at some point simply went totally crazy. An avalanche of messages made it impossible for me to read them all, much less respond. And an increasingly heated argument broke out between the ones who believed my posts were genuine and the other side crying foul and proclaimed me a fraud and a hoaxer. But then I read a message that got on my nerves.
Stop spamming Facebook, you attention whore.
In a moment of overheated passion, I replied,
Take a hike, you son of a bitch.
Normally I wouldn't use language like that, but I was drunk by now and didn't care.
No, you're the bitch, a bitch in heat.
The other guy retorted.
You kiss your mother with that mouth.
I shot back.
I mean, touch your mom with hands that type that sentence.
The whole conversation went downhill from there. I wish I could tell you more about what happened next, but alcohol was destroying my memory. I vaguely remember live streaming myself, resulting in the most embarrassing events in my entire life. I wish I could forget that part entirely. It's probably a good thing I didn't remember what happened next, since it saved me from knowing how much of an asshole I can be. I woke up with a raging hangover, but had to go to work nonetheless. So I crawled over to the medicine cabinet and took an Advil, then ate breakfast, put on my tie, and headed out. But something different happened on the bus that morning. A guy sat across from me and smirked, sticking up his middle finger and whispered,
See this? It would be a middle finger if I had fingers.
What the hell did that mean? The other passengers laughed at his antics. Normally I would have been offended, but this and everyone else's behavior was so bizarre that I was too baffled to feel angry. When I got off the bus, people on the street noticed me and laughed, sometimes yelling,
I'm not a fake, you're a fake.
There was even one girl who shyly approached me and asked me for an autograph. I was shocked. Why would a random person ask me for my autograph out of the blue? I walked faster to avoid her, which, thinking back, wasn't very polite of me. As I had been instructed, at work I used the back door and the freight elevator, which I shared with one of the janitors. As we descended, he flashed a crooked smile and said,
I'm amazed you showed up to work at all.
What do you mean?
You know, that entire mess you created on the internet?
Oh, damn. I was drunk. What happened?
That explains a lot of things.
He said with a serious look.
There's a video of you where you're doing some crazy shit. You should watch it.
After the elevator hit bottom, I scurried to my desk to find that video. Even before I finished typing my name into the search engine, the video showed up on autocomplete. I forced myself to watch the whole thing. It was the most painful experience I ever had in my life. I was swaying precariously, as if about to lose my balance, then screeched in a slurred voice.
You see, I'm not a fake. You're a fake. No, I'm not CGI. Can CGI do this?
Then I watched in horror as I turned around and pooped in front of the camera. I wanted to cover my eyes. A kind of train wreck was unfolding before me, but like an actual train wreck, the spectacle was too compelling. After pooping, I turned back around like nothing had happened and bumbled around reading comments like,
Oh, you think I'm a troll? Well, you're the troll.
Then I stuck out my front right leg and said,
You see this? This is my middle finger, or at least it would be my middle finger if I still had a middle finger.
The video just got worse and worse. I was dropping the F-bomb right, left, and center, calling people cunts and assholes, and at one point spilling a bottle of beer on the desk and licking up the spill. When I was almost finished with the video, I felt like crawling into a crack in the wall to die. But the coup de grace came at the end, when other videos I may want to watch popped up. They were all parodies of my disgusting performance. One even used Muppets. I was able to avert my eyes only when the phone started to ring. I thought it must be my boss asking for my resignation, but it was Brian.
Congratulations!
Congratulations for what?
That video you made, it got more than 10 million views. I've never seen a video go viral so quickly. Well, I have. I just haven't seen it happen to a close friend.
Yeah, strangers and friends and relatives saw me humiliating myself 10 million times. I really needed that.
Come on, don't be so negative. You've achieved overnight what people work hard for decades to accomplish and often fail. You're famous.
Yeah, famous for all the wrong reasons.
Well, as they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. At my office, no one's getting anything done. They're all talking about you. Who or what is this? How did he turn to a bug? Is this guy for real? Believe me, you are the hottest thing in the world of media right now, and I can make you the biggest thing since... Okay, I don't want to be cliché, so I'm not going to say sliced bread. Let's say the biggest thing since the black hole at the center of the galaxy.
I don't know. Does it involve embarrassing myself even further?
Not at all. Have you heard of The Late Show with Steve Stevenson?
Yeah, I liked him better when he was just doing stand-up, but I watch him when I can't sleep.
Well, I just happen to have connections with him, and he was delighted when I mentioned you might be interested in appearing on his show.
You could have asked me first. Anyway, the last time my face appeared on a screen, it didn't go so well.
Steve promised he would be very sympathetic toward you. You screwed up your first opportunity to introduce yourself to the public, but the second time's the charm. I'll make sure of that.
Well, my image definitely needs a reboot. It couldn't possibly go any lower, so... Yeah, sure. I don't want to go down in history as that guy who pooped in front of the camera without redeeming himself.
You won't regret it. You'll appear on the show the day after tomorrow, but we'll fly you out tomorrow because there are some crucial things we have to do to prepare you.
This concludes Chapter 2 of Bug Guy. I thank my friends Dave and Edie for helping me read my novel. Their performance really bring the characters to life. See you next time, and enjoy this discussion we had after our reading.
Well, I hope that came out okay, Alice.
Well, I don't think this needs to be perfect. It just needs to get out there.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. I mean,
And I gotta start recording some of my stuff at home. I was accepted into Fault Zone provisionally, so my story of Holly facing her various forms of her kryptonite will be kind of fun.
Tell us who Fallstone is.
Fault Zone is the anthology that the Peninsula branch puts out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was batting 500, so now I'm doing better than 50% now.
Wow.
I recorded audio stories. I tended to win those. But I don't know who else did an audio story.
Oh, I could
So if
see
I was
that.
the only one, you see, I could say, well, I still came in first.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think I could see why you would win, because you have a good speaking voice.
I remember one, though, I recorded in a friend's place, and the recording conditions were just awful because it was hardwood floors, bare walls, and you could just hear the echo. But it still worked.